Cat from WhimsiCat DIY Home Decor. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad to have you here. If you've not visited this channel before, we do upcycled furniture transformations. We also do some thrift flips. So today though, I promise we do something different for the next video. So we're going to be redoing this desk hutch. It's two pieces. Let me just move the camera down so you can see the rest of it. So you can see down here is the desk part. It has two drawers, and then it has this removable hutch on the top. This piece comes off. It's not even attached with any type of hardware. It just basically sits on top. Now you can see this piece is substantial. This is all wood. There's no MDF. There's no veneer. This is hard, chunky wood. And so I like that because that gives me a lot of freedom to really sand down the finish, do whatever I want to do. And so I wanted to experiment a bit with a couple of products, well, one product that I haven't used before, and see what it might look like on this piece. So I'm still kind of thinking kind of the process I'm going to use, but I promised I'd use a new color. And so I am going to use the Dixie Belle chalk paint. This is kudzu. So it's a beautiful green color. I like that green. And then I'm going to try this product that I've never used. It's the Voodoo Gel Stain. And this is White Magic. And so this is a stain that will go, it's pretty versatile from my understanding. So it'll go over bare wood, it'll go over MDF, painted. And because it's water-based, you can even mix the different colors together. I believe they have 7 colors. But this is my first time to use it on a piece. And I'm thinking right now, I'm going to sand the back of this. And I'm going to just do the back with this whitewash, just to give it kind of a lighter color. And then maybe on the sides, I'll show you in the door or the drawers. I think we might do the whitewash on the doors, but we'll see when we get into it. I'm excited because I think this piece is going to turn out really beautifully. And this wood, it's very rustic. This is made by Cargo, and so a very substantial piece. It's put together like there's no way I could even take this backboard off because originally I thought I might use wallpaper, but there's just no way to take it off. So I've been wanting to use this voodoo stain for a while, so I think this is a good project to try it out on. So what I'm going to do is off camera, I'm going to go ahead. It's pretty dirty. I've had it for a while. It's been in my garage, so I'm going to clean it, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sand it off camera. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do the painting process with the kudzu green and the voodoo gel stain. So I thought I'd do sanding off camera this time, not to put you through that process, but if you do like to watch that part of the process, the sanding process, just drop me a comment below. I'm just trying to experiment to give you guys the best viewing experience that you can have and that you want to see. So anyway, stay tuned. I'm going to get this cleaned up. I'm going to sand it, and then I'll come back and we'll start painting. We're back and we're ready to paint. I was debating on doing a primer. I was going to use Boss because I really thought this might bleed. However, I've done some test spots and it really hasn't bled through. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first coat and take a look at it and see what I think. No harm, no foul. I don't want to use a primer if I don't need to. Although I know probably the best practice is when in doubt, use a primer. But on this piece, it's very rustic, and I want it to kind of keep a rustic look. So I'm not overly concerned if there are some imperfections, I would say. But we're going to see. I want to go ahead and give it a try, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll make a decision. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Dixie Belle kudzu. I've not used this color before, but I like it. It's a very beautiful green color, and I like greens. And it's a chalk paint. So we will be using our spray bottle because we'll want to keep our brush wet and the surface that we're painting nice and moist. That will allow our paint to glide better. And we're going to just stir it up really well, and we're going to go ahead and do the top of this desk and take a look at it and see what it looks like. So let me move our camera so you can see the top of the desk and give you a good look at that. All right, so let's get ready. I'm going to go ahead and open up this paint. We are going to give it another really good stir. I stirred it earlier when I did my test spots, but it's been sitting for a while, and so it's always good to give this a good stir because all the good ingredients seem to sink to the bottom, and so you just want to make sure you give it a nice good stir. Okay, I think that's good. Go ahead and wipe off my stir stick here. All right, I'm going to be using my favorite brush. I like this brush. It is Country Chic Paint brand, but I like the bristles, excuse me, and it really holds a lot of paint. So I really like this brush, and I think on this type of surface it's going to do really well. So we're going to get started. We're going to go ahead and spray our brush. Get that nice and wet. We're going to spray our surface. I'm really excited to use this color. This is kind of a bit out of the box for me. But let's see. Let's see how it looks. Let's see what kind of coverage we get. So far I like it. I'm sure we'll do at least 2 coats on this. I'm hoping 2 coats is all we're going to need, but not sure until we get at least the first coat down and see what kind of coverage we're getting. I really do like it. Like I said, this is chalk paint. So in the past, you've seen most of my videos, I've used the all-in-one mineral paint. Well, this is a little different. So a chalk paint likes water. So you want to keep your surface nice and misted and your brush. And it also helps your paint go longer. Yeah, so this will help us with brush strokes. And it just really does help just glide the paint right onto the surface. This is a pretty color. Let me know in the comments if you like this color or if you've used this color before. This is going to go in my booth. So today is August the 24th, and my booth is going to open September 1. And so I really wanted a nice, well, I've got several pieces that I've done that I've kind of saved up for the booth because I want to have a nice opening and have quite a few pieces ready to go. But this piece is definitely for my booth. I'm still deciding on if I want to sell it, which I probably will. I'll probably put a for sale sign on it. But I also think this is a great piece just to have in my booth for staging. So we'll see though. I mean, I believe everything is for sale in the booth. So if someone wants to buy it, it will be for sale. So, okay. Liking what I'm seeing so far. I'm going to move my paint over here. Go ahead and spray this side. So the first coat, it's showing the wood grain through, which that's fine. But this had some pretty deep water stains on it, but when I did the test spot, I did it on those water stains and it did cover it up. That's why I thought we may not need a primer on this piece, so. And I think we're going to be okay. But you really can't tell if you need the primer until your paint dries. So just continue to spray it down there. And glide the paint over. And you know what? If those particular spots on top kind of bleed through, I think what we can do is we'll just spot prime it and put a little bit of primer over those spots, and I think we're going to be fine. So I'm liking it so far. Okay, we've got the first coat on the top. I'm just going to zoom in a bit just so you can see it. I can see a little bleed through right here. Where there was a water stain, but also this is where I did my spot test and I really can't see that. So I think after probably 2 coats, it's going to be fine. But we'll see. We'll let this first coat dry and we'll come back and we'll give it a second coat. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get the first coat on the rest of this. Okay, the top coat is dry, or the first coat is dry, and I think we're still okay not to prime. This spot over here is my big concern, but I think it's going to cover. Now, when I started painting, you'll see in the video, I painted this entire side, the whole thing, green. And then I decided to go a whole different direction. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I have done this many times where I start a piece, I think I have a good vision of what I want to do with that piece, and as I'm painting it, something new comes to mind that I think is going to be a better option, and that's what happened here. I painted this first side all the kudzu green. And then when I got to the other side and I started putting the green on, I'm like, wow, that wood, that natural wood, and this green really look good together. And so I came back and I sanded all the paint off. I sanded it all off, back down to the natural wood, just put a light stain on it because I had to sand it so deep. It was a little lighter than the rest of this piece. But I like this. I like the contrast between the green and the natural wood. And this is such a rustic piece that I think it's just a really good combo for this type of piece. And then I'm going to heavily distress it. So with that said, also I went a different direction with the hutch, and we'll take a look at that a little later on in the video when I get to the point where we're going to paint that. But I thought we'll finish the bottom half, which is the desk piece, first, and then we'll start on the hutch. So I just wanted to give you that update. I don't know if any of you ever do that, but you know, that's what creating and crafting and DIYing is all about. It's about having fun, following a vision, do what feels right to you. Just because something looks good to me, someone else may look at that and say, oh my gosh, that's just not even attractive. But it doesn't matter. It's what looks good to you, because I can tell you, I will put this on Facebook. Even though I am going to put it in my store, I'll still put it on Facebook. I know someone will buy it. It's just finding the right buyer. And if not, that's quite all right with me, because I need a piece like this in my booth at the antique mall. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, that okay, we've changed directions, but we're going to keep on going with this piece. So let's go ahead and get the second coat on this top. All right, so gonna go ahead, give our paint a good stir. It's been sitting for a while, so we'll give it another just really good stir. I do like this color. It's kind of it's got a blue tint to it, so I like it. I just think it's a fun color. I don't have a lot of green in my home, but I like it. I think this might be good for a guest room for me, but I love it. I love the color. Like I said, a little out of the box for me, but I like it. So here we go. I got my brush. I'm going to zoom in a bit for you, just so you can see this finish a little bit better. And we're going to go ahead and put our second coat on here. Mist down our brush, mist down our surface. I usually don't mist right into my paint pot, and the reason for that is I don't want to contaminate the paint. If I'm going to add water to my paint, I typically will pour some in a bowl and do it that way. That way what's in my actual pot stays absolutely pure. Okay. Here we go. Once again, with this, just to try to eliminate brush strokes. You're always going to have some. I mean, that's just the nature of what we do. But if I keep my surface nice and wet, it will reduce the number of brush strokes. And typically I'll do a light sand over between each coat. It also seems to help it a bit. I am still optimistic that we're going to be able to get through this with 2 coats. So there we go. We've covered that spot that has been worrisome. And once the second coat dries, that'll really tell us if we need a primer or not. And so far, so good. And that's one thing about chalk paint. The mineral paint I have been using, you really can't overwork it because it sets up, because it's got all those products in it. So it sets up pretty quickly, and if you overwork it, you're going to get brush strokes. So this, with just regular old chalk paint, it's so much easier because I can work it as much as I want. I can add water to it. Chalk paint is great for blending. In fact, that's probably a project we'll do soon. I want to do a project where we blend some colors. I just love that effect. In fact, I'll put that on my calendar and we will do that probably the next 1 or 2 projects. We'll try to get that done. Okay. This is looking really good. I'm just going to spray it a little bit. All right, let me see if we can zoom in even a little more for you. That way you can get a really good look at the top. I like it. I think it's going to be fine without any type of primer. So I'm going to go ahead and go around the rest of it. We're going to get our second coat on the desk, and then we will be ready tomorrow. I probably won't get to it today, but tomorrow we should be ready to do the Hutch. All right. Okay, everyone, the second coat is on and it's dry. I want to give you a close-up of the top of this desk because, as I showed you earlier, there were a couple of spots that I was concerned might bleed through, but they didn't. It is a great finish, and I really am pleased with the outcome. And as I shared earlier, in the middle of painting this, I did change of heart. I decided to go with natural wood with this paint color. I just think they complement each other very well. So we're going to leave the drawers natural wood and the wood inserts on each side of this with the natural wood showing. Just a really nice complement to this color. So with that said, the next thing we have to do is paint this hutch, the piece that goes on top. And as you can see, it's still laying on its back, so I could get in there and tape it up. But to ensure that it kind of coordinates with the bottom half, we're going to do something a little different on this hutch. So the back side and all the outside, we're going to paint with that green color. We are going to leave the shelves on this, the natural wood, and on the side, the hutch also has those wood inserts that look like wood planks. We'll leave that natural as well. That way it'll coordinate really well with the desk. So I'm going to get the paint ready, mix up, and then we're going to do the first coat of paint on the hutch. So I'll be right back. I'm going to go ahead and I'll remind you we're using kudzu, the green. It's kind of a green with a blue tint in it. I really like this color. I was not sure. It took me a while to pick a color when I went to the Dixie Belle store, but I really like the way this is turning out. I think with that natural wood, this color is absolutely gorgeous. So what we're going to do is we're really going to paint everything except the shelves. So I'm going to go ahead, I have it laying on its back, and while I do have it on its back, I can paint just this here, and then we'll stand it up and we'll paint the rest of it. So let's get started. We've got our brush. I wrapped it in saran wrap so it would not dry out. I'm going to give our paint another good stir. Just stir that up. Take off the excess there. And we are ready to go. We're going to go ahead and spray our brush, spray our surface, and let's see how this paint performs on this. Probably have to get our artist brush out, use it to do a little detail, make sure we get it in all the nooks and crannies. Because this wood has just got a lot of texture to it. So we want to make sure we get the paint down into all those nooks and crannies. Yeah. But I'm liking it. I'm feeling good about it. I don't know about you, but usually I don't use painter's tape. One, I just hate the process of putting it on there. I usually just use an artist brush and go around the edges. and just be as detailed as I can be, just freehanding it. But on this, it was just, the surface was really so rough. I didn't think I could get a nice edge on it, so I went ahead and did the tape. While the last coat of paint is drying, I thought we could go ahead and start our top coat on the desk. The desk has dried overnight, so I'm very confident that the finish is ready for us to do a top coat. Now, before I top coat, just because it's chalk paint, and sometimes there's seems to be a little roughness to chalk paint, I'll just take a sanding sponge with a very high grit. In fact, this is a Dixie Belle sanding sponge, so hardly any grit on it at all. But I'll just go over the surface, just lightly. And like I said, all that does is, if there's anything remaining from the paint, sometimes it'll have a little roughness to it, it just takes it down. Then I'll just take a lint-free cloth and I will just wipe it down just to make sure we've got a clean surface to get started with. All right, since this is a desk and I really think it will get a lot of traffic on the top, I'm going to go ahead and use Dixie Belle's Gator Hide. I like this product. It gives it a really solid finish, and it's going to also be in my booth, and so I'll use it for staging. And so I just want to make sure that I've got a good top coat on so it doesn't mark it up, because it'll also be for sale. So typically what I will do, let me open this up. This is a new container of Gator Hide, so to take off the top here. All right. I'm also going to get a glove, just a second here. Now, what I like to do is I'm going to stir up the Gator Hide just to make sure everything's good. And I'm going to pour some in my container. Now, what I like to do is I like to add a little bit of the paint that we used. What this will do, and I don't put a lot in, so I'm just taking it on my stick here, and I'm just adding just a little bit in there. Probably less than a teaspoon, really. Okay, just gonna scrape that off. Any excess there, and I'm going to stir that into the Gator Hide. And the reason I'm doing this is I find that if you add just a little bit of the color of the piece right into your top coat, and it doesn't hurt it at all, just stir it up really well, it will reduce streak marks. So we've stirred it up. And what I'm going to apply it with, I like to apply the Gator Hide with these sponges. It's just easy to kind of get into the areas, and I find I get a really nice finish that way. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to dip my sponge in, just wipe any extra off, and here we go. We're just going to go straight across. I love the Gator Hide. Let me know if you've used the Gator Hide before. I just think it gives us such a nice finish. And it's so durable. So most of the time, if I'm doing anything that's gonna get a lot of traffic, I'm gonna use the gator hide on it. Especially if I'm selling a piece, because you know, I want it to have longevity. I want it to be a good experience for the buyer. And I find the gator hide, I've never had to worry about it. I've got it on pieces in my own home, and it's always performed really well. All right, so just nice, even swipes across the top. Make sure that I get all of it. I don't miss any spots. Excuse me, my phone's ringing in the background. I apologize if you can hear that. Draw out a bit and get it down in there really nicely. Okay, I'm going to take it across the sides. I just think the sponge applicator makes it so easy, and it's so fast. Just get any excess where it may have pulled up a bit. Okay. All across this top piece. I want it to have really a nice top coat, a nice seal. Don't want it to have any opportunities where we chip the paint. Like I said, it's going to be in my antique booth, so it's going to be exposed to a high traffic area. Go right across this piece in the back. I only put a little bit in my bowl, and I used it all. And actually, I think we're done. We're done with the top. So on the rest of it, I probably will not use gator hide. I'll use just a different clear coat, probably a Dixie Belle in satin, because I don't think we need the toughness that the gator hide provides for the top of this piece. The rest of it we can just do in a regular top coat. So we'll go ahead, we'll let this dry, and we'll come back and we'll see if we need a second coat. I probably will do a second coat just to ensure that we've got a really good tough finish on this, because I really like this piece. I want it to have a long, beautiful life. So I'm gonna go ahead, clean this up. We'll be back. Okay, we're back, and the first coat on this hutch is dry. So I think we're ready to do our second coat. So let's get started. Okay, got our paint. We're gonna go ahead and do the top of this piece. Let my brush down with the surface. Here we go. And what are you thinking so far? Do you think you like this color? This combination we did? This has been an interesting piece for me, because I literally changed my mind about everything right in mid process of this project. So usually I make changes sometimes, but nothing this major. I mean, I had already done some work when I decided, oh, I don't think I like that very much. But you know what? That's what's great about being able to DIY. It's your vision, right? So whatever you like is what you need to go with. You can always change it up, always. Paint is paint. Like if you have a piece that you've painted and sometime down the road you want to redo it, go right ahead, redo it. Especially if you're using chalk paint. Chalk paint is so easy to paint over and to do, you know, make some changes to. So don't ever let that slow you down. All right, we're just putting on the final coat. I mean, this really is only going to need 2 coats. In some areas, it really only needed 1, but I'm going to do 2 coats because it's chalk paint. And I want to make sure that it's going to stay on, right? You always want to work with longevity in mind, especially if you're reselling, because you want your name to get out there as good quality, right? That your pieces are good quality and that no one needs to be afraid because it's a refinished piece that the paint's going to come up or it's going to chip or peel. So that's why I always go the extra mile. If I think I need an extra coat, I'm just going to do it. If I thought this needed a 3rd coat, I will put a 3rd coat on there. If I saw any imperfections, I would fix it. All right, 2nd coat. Let me zoom in for you so you can see the 2nd coat on the top of the hutch. Looks good. All right, so I am going to go ahead and finish the 2nd coat on the rest of this, and then I'll come back, I'll show it to you after it dries, and then I'll take you to that next step in our process. I'll be right back. Okay everyone, we're back, and the 2nd coat has dried, and actually I think we've got a really good surface to do our top coat. So on the rest of this hutch, I'm going to use, you've seen me use this before, the Polyvine Wax Finish Varnish. You know, I've got a lot of top coats in my arsenal. I just tend to use this one because it's really easy. And on something like this, where I really don't think it's gonna, like the top of this isn't gonna get a lot of traffic, so I think it's fine. This is probably a medium top coat if you were to ask me my opinion, that, you know, on things that you don't think will get a lot of traffic, or in areas of a piece that you think would be okay with just kind of a medium coverage. That's what this is, but I like it. It's thin, it dries very quickly, and it's produced a really nice finish for me. And I have a couple pieces in my own home where I've used this and I've had no issues. I've got one piece I've had for probably 7 months now, and it's actually in a pretty high traffic area of my home where we drop our keys, wallets, etc. And so so far so good. I've not had any issues. So anyway, let's get started with this. As always, I just pour some of this into my bowl. We don't need a lot. This goes a long way actually. So we'll pour some in there. I like to add a little bit of the paint that we're using. This with the top coat, when you mix just a little bit in, I don't really use a lot. I'll show you. Just really about that much. All we're trying to do is tint. Oops, kind of stuck there on the bottom. All we're really doing is tinting the top coat. And by doing this, this allows us to reduce brush strokes in our finish. It's a great tip. I got this from another YouTube video. I believe it was the furniture flipping teacher that kind of showed this tip. She's one of my favorites. And I've been using it ever since, and I love it. I love the outcome. So there's our varnish. It's all mixed up, our top coat. and put our paint away, and I'll get the brush and we'll just get started. All right. I'm just using this small little brush. I like this brush. It does good for any kind of detail work. But this is the brush I save really to do my top coats. I don't like to use brushes that I've used for paint. I just think it sometimes cross-contaminates it and gives it the opportunity to get the wrong type of paint colors into your top coat. So I have several brushes that I just keep for top coats. Okay, let's get this on here. Just nice even strokes all the way across. This piece has really turned out to be maybe one of my favorites so far. I just like this color. I like this combination of kind of the stained wood against this color. Just seems to pop, in my opinion. I'll definitely do this again. But, you know, the real test is let's put it in the shop and see the feedback we get from our customers. But, you know, I think there's always a buyer out there. There's always someone out there that's looking for that piece that kind of matches your vision. So never get discouraged. If you are refinishing furniture for a profit, keep the dream up. I mean, keep it going. I've not had any issues so far. I think the biggest obstacle for me is patience, trying to be patient while I'm waiting for that right buyer and not dropping my prices too soon. And you know, I try not to price my stuff too high. And then I also, once I've determined a price, I try never to come down on that price. I really try to do my homework, make sure I've priced it competitively, and then I just stick by that. Because there's someone out there, like I said, that is going to want this piece, and if it's priced competitively, fairly, then it's not going to be a problem. Someone's going to buy it. All right. This top coat's going on nicely. Let me just make sure that we've got really good coverage, that we don't miss any spots. And so my tip, because I have missed some spots, and I can't tell it until I get it at a different angle, the lighting at a different angle. So what I try to do is I have a light that is on my camera that shines down on the piece, and I can kind of position it at different angles that lets me see this finish to kind of allow me to see if there are any pieces I've missed. But you know, even if I have, it's not game over. I can always come back, put another coat on, cover that up, but I try to get it in the first coat. I'm really interested in hearing everyone's feedback on this piece. I hope everyone likes it. And let me know, do you like this color? Would you use it? Do you think this is a good combination? I'm probably going to do, I have this little table that I recently found out alongside the road. Those are the best finds, aren't they? You just find some little gem sitting out there on the curb, all lonely, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Get out of the car, pop that baby right into my back seat, and brought her home. So I'm thinking, she looks antique, and she's very aged, obviously, very worn, but I'm thinking I might do this similar technique on that little table and keep some of the the wood natural and use this green. All right, that top coat is on. We are going to do the side here. You can see that side. We'll kind of zoom in a bit. Let me get over here. Well, I do appreciate everyone hanging out with me and watching this piece come to life. Especially, you know, I kind of started with one idea and ended up doing something completely different. So I'm glad y'all were able to hang out with me and kind of stay with me during this process of trying to figure out what am I going to do with this piece. And I'm only sealing where I painted. I'm not going to touch this natural stained wood part. All I'm going to do is seal in the chalk paint. Because as you know, chalk paint has to be sealed in. Otherwise, it's going to wear off quickly. You know, it's still, you can spray chalk paint even when it's dry with water and reactivate it. So you always have to seal chalk paint. So that's what we're doing. Let me get down here where I can get the rest of this. Okay, y'all. Here is our finished look. Let me zoom out a bit so you can see the entire piece. I think it turned out beautifully. Let's walk in a little closer where you can really see how that green complements that stained wood. I love this color. I think it's a great combination. I've already moved it into my booth at the Antique Mall. So we moved it in today. So let's see how it does, but I love it. I think I'm still deciding on do I put hardware on the drawers or not. The hardware I ordered just didn't look right once it arrived, so I'm thinking that might be an addition, but we'll see. Let me know in the comments below what you think. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button below and hit the like button so you'll know each and every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much, and stay tuned. We'll have another video coming up for you shortly. Have a great and blessed day.